in addition to watching a good thing, did you play a good thing? Maybe? Positive things?
I played a game. Almost a whole game. Man. Child of Light was released for PC, Wii U, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One in April of 2014, and the adored PS Vita in June of 2014. It was released onto the Nintendo Switch in October of 2018. It was developed and published by Ubisoft.
Did you bring your PS Vita with you on this trip?
No, I'm having an issue with my Vita where it only charges to half the battery, and I need the special plastic chip to separate the glass screen from the plastic body to get in there and change a wire or something, and I don't have the plastic chip. So.
Damn.
Otherwise, I would have, for sure. It would not have been the first time. I'm getting most of my information from Wikipedia, by the way, because that is the source of all professional journalists. The story is in the late 1800s, early 1900s. An Austrian duke has a child named Aurora. A little while later, Aurora's mom dies. Time goes by. The duke remarries, and then suddenly and mysteriously, Aurora dies. She wakes up in a fairy tale world with a little floating blue guy, Igniculus, as a friend. I would say picture Navi from Ocarina of Time. Hello! And yes, you need to include the sound of hey every time I say Igniculus. Hey! Igniculus. Hey! I require it. Igniculus. Watch out! Soon she's given a quest: gather the sun, moon, and stars in order to go home. A couple of things happen that I skipped over. Along the way, she finds a whole party of friends with their own quests that help the friends help her throughout the story. The visuals of this game look really cool. It kind of reminds me of like a children's fairy tale book that was painted before the book was printed. The world is quite interactable with treasure chests hidden everywhere, some that you can only reach with Igniculus. Hey! There are dark parts of levels that you can illumine with your befriended Firefly. There are illusory walls that I wrote that because I couldn't come up with any other term for it. Just walls that you have to walk or fly through to like progress down the pathway to find the treasure that's hidden behind it, just like any other Metroidvania. Characters are animated well. The only thing I could try to complain about is how floaty Aurora's hair was at certain times, but it really wasn't that bad by any means. It just seems like a problem with the engine that it was in. Characters mostly talked to each other with pop text box I had to click through, but every once in a while they would have a balloon in their head, and almost every time that happened, they would overlap. It didn't look very good. It kind of made it difficult to read some of the balloons because the timing was off and it was a little big. But really, those were my only complaints about this game. For sound design, I gotta be honest, I played a lot of the muted while I was on lunch at work, but what I did hear sounded great. The music is fitting to the atmosphere of each level. I would say the enemy sounds got a little old in certain instances that I'll talk about later, but spells or attacks sound impactful. Sound is good. Gameplay is the meaty part of my review. This game is a turn-based RPG. Aurora flies through the air looking for treasure and progression through the story. There are enemies patrolling everywhere. If she walks into the patrol from behind, she's surprising the patrol and gets an advancement in combat. The reverse is the patrol walks into her. There's a bar at the bottom of the screen showing how much time each character and enemy has before their next action, which I really appreciate in a turn-based RPG. There were only 2 people from my party allowed to fight at the same time, while the enemies were allowed up to 3 at the same time. Each character has their own build, of course. Aurora has a big sword, but also light magic, which is powerful against dark. Other characters are big tanks, healers, elemental magicians, etc. There are ways to buff or debuff characters to affect the time between their attacks. Igniculus also gets in on the fight in a cool way. You can have him shine his light on someone in your party to heal them, or he can shine his light on an enemy to blind them and slow them down. He can fly around the arena and collect health and mana for the party, and also light for himself. I'm not very experienced in turn-based RPGs, or maybe I've touched a bunch and I'm just not good at them. I don't know. I like having the ability to choose if I want to fight or not, as opposed to a Pokemon game where I'm trying to get from A to B and I keep getting ambushed by random patrols. The drawback is that my characters didn't get appropriately leveled like they should for the end game. I saw a complaint online that I feel is fair. Sometimes when you initiate a fight with a flying firebird expecting a fire-based fight, he would have a big rock troll and a water-based spider with him in the arena, and that can all affect how the fight goes. I never got a cheap death because of it, but it can be annoying. I haven't even mentioned the oculi system. There are magic rocks of different colors. You get small ones, you can combine them to make bigger versions, or different colored rocks. These obviously can affect elemental attacks or defense, but also XP or time between attacks, defense against physical or magical attacks, etc. I liked this system, except there wasn't an in-game list of recipes. Even if it had showed me only what I had discovered for recipe, mixing this rock with that rock gets you a different rock, I would have been happy. I'm sure Colin would be yelling at me right now like, you idiot, it's basic color black magic. You mix red and blue to get purple, and that's what gives you magical defense. It makes all the sense in the world, blah, 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 blah. But I does not remember all those recipes. Colin can eat my ass. There are also skill trees for every character that were done really, really well. I chose the build for each character because I couldn't have all the skills. Obviously, the tank, but is defensive power that doesn't make you go back on the timeline when you're hit. You are still able to attack within the time that it normally runs. Or do you power up his offensive ability that has a chance to paralyze opponents when they're hit by the tank? It's still a choice within the same basic build. In closing, because I skipped some combat, I was at level 38 by the final boss, and the internet advises at least 10 more levels, despite being on the simplest difficulty, story mode. However, I completed all 10 side quests. I found all but 4 out of 15 floating papers. There were confessions. It was just extra story that didn't make sense because I didn't have all the pieces. That puts me at 12 hours. I got this game for $5 on my Switch, and I'm quite happy with my purchase. I'm not sure if I would replay it anytime soon, but I'm probably going to hunt down a YouTube video or two to explain the story to me because I still have a couple questions. for example, level 8 or 9 out of 10, Aurora very clearly becomes a young woman. But she was like 6 or 8 when she died. And she's weird. In a fairy tale world. So I think something else is happening, but I don't understand what.
Wacky.
It was a very odd change. So I don't know. I'm still confused about the story. This definitely seems like something up your alley.
It's been on my to-do list for quite a while. I just haven't gotten to it. I might even own a digital copy for computer or something. I don't know.
What kills me is that there was a game I had on my Vita that I thought was this game, but definitely wasn't. And now I don't know what that game was.
Weird.
I am very special.
$5 is definitely a steal, though.
Yes, thank you.
Wicked cool.